Welcome! In this video, we are going to learn about the immune system and the ways the immune system can protect us from disease. Our bodies are a nutrient-dense environment, perfect for a host of organisms to inhabit. These organisms can be pathogenic, meaning that they cause disease. In order to protect our bodies from these pathogenic organisms, we have innate and adaptive immune mechanisms that protect us from them. These mechanisms can be broken down into three different areas, which are referred to as the three lines of defense. The first line of defense includes physical barriers like skin and mucous membranes, chemical factors, and the normal flora, also called microbiota. The second line of defense includes mechanisms such as inflammation, leukocytes, and fever. Lastly, the third line of defense includes the activation of adaptive immune cells called B cells and T cells. Today we are going to go over the innate immune responses that occur to protect our bodies from invaders. The innate immune system refers to the non-specific immunity that occurs upon immediate invasion or infection. The innate immune system includes the first and second lines of defense, and the adaptive immune system, which is an acquired immunity and a slower response, includes the third line of defense, which we will not cover in this video today. The first line of defense includes physical barriers, chemical factors, and normal flora. One type of physical barrier is the skin. The top layer of the skin is called the epidermis. It is a layer of tightly packed, dead epithelial cells that are constantly being sloughed off. This makes it almost impossible for microbes and viruses to live on. The tightly packed epithelial cells are connected by tight junctions that prevent any invasion of intruders into the layers below. The epidermis also lacks moisture, which makes it like a desert, a very dry and uninhabitable place to live. The skin also releases some chemical factors like sebum, which is an oily substance that makes the skin more acidic, and perspiration or sweat, which flushes microbes from the skin and aids in making the skin uninhabitable. In all, the skin is a pretty terrible place for a microbe to live. As long as the skin is intact, it is like a fortress that prevents all entry into the body. Another type of physical barrier are the mucous membranes. The mucous membranes line the digestive, respiratory, and urinary tracts. Like the skin, they are composed of tightly packed epithelial cells, but unlike the skin, it is a very uninviting place for microbes to live. It's warm, nutrient-dense, and protected from outside forces. This means the mucous membranes are more prone to infection than the skin, but it has its strengths as well. The mucous membranes are named such because of the mucus-like substance that the membrane produces to entrap microbes and prevent their further invasion and detain them until they can be recognized and eaten up by immune cells. The picture on the right shows the types of cells located in the mucous membranes. The blue goblet cells produce the mucus lining of the membranes, and the yellow cells, called Paneth cells, produce chemical factors called lysosomes and defensins that can destroy bacteria. Many of you have probably experienced each and every one of these reflexes. They are symptoms that occur in response to invasion from an antigen, which is something foreign to the body. They help to rid your body of the foreign antigen. Coughing and sneezing occurs due to the body's automatic response to an irritant in the nose or airway. Vomiting and defecation are the body's response to a threat in the GI tract. The natural response is for the body to rid it of the threat and expel the contents of the GI tract through either the mouth or the anus. Normal flora, also referred to as the human microbiota, is the collection of bacteria in our body that are non-pathogenic. We have a mutualistic relationship with the bacteria in our body. We provide them with a safe place to live and nutrients to eat, and they help us with many proper body functions, like breaking down food, red blood cells, and protecting us from pathogenic microbes. The normal flora is located all over our body. It provides protection from pathogens in three ways. 1, they compete with foreign microbes for nutrients and attachment sites. 2, they can produce bacteriocins, which are a type of chemical that are harmful to foreign molecules. And 3, they can alter the environmental conditions that make harsh environments for most microbes to live. The second line of defense includes inflammation, leukocytes, complement proteins, and fever. If the skin is punctured or microbes do enter tissues, then the body relies on mechanisms from the second line of defense. One of these mechanisms is inflammation. Inflammation occurs because of changes in the circulatory system in response to damaged tissue or infection. Inflammation functions to destroy the agent causing the infection, limit the effects of the infection on the body, and to repair and replace host cells that were destroyed during the infection. For example, inflammation occurs when we get a splinter. The piece of wood that punctures the skin brings with it whatever foreign particles were hanging out on it into the body. Tissue damage releases chemicals like histamine that go on to change blood vessel properties, causing blood vessels to dilate and bring more blood to the damaged area. It also will loosen tight junctions between the epithelial cells of the blood vessels, allowing more fluid to leave the blood and enter the tissue along with immune cells. The characteristic signs of inflammation are pain, heat, swelling, and redness. The redness and heat come from the increased blood flow, and the swelling from the increase in fluid into the tissues that puts extra pressure on receptors, causing pain. Phagocytes are a type of leukocyte, or white blood cell, that carries out the process of phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the ingestion and digestion of bacteria or other foreign material. There are a few types of cells that act as phagocytes. These cells are macrophages, neutrophils, and dendritic cells. Phagocytes are the first immune cells on the site of infection or damage and will fight against the infection by eating and digesting as many microbes as possible, sometimes until the third line of defense specialists are called into the battle. Many times, phagocytes are effective at destroying the invading pathogens before they can cause an infection. Complement proteins are produced by the liver. They are inactive in the blood, but become active through antigen recognition, antibodies, or spontaneously. There are three outcomes of complement activation. 1. Opsonization. This means that they bind to a foreign antigen and label it for phagocytosis. 2. They activate inflammation that was discussed earlier. And 3. They form a membrane attack complex, which is created by complement proteins binding to the surface of a microbe and forming a pore, which will lead to the destruction of the microbe. Fever occurs in response to bacterial or viral infection. The purpose of a fever is to raise the temperature of the body to a level that is uncomfortable or uninhabitable for microbes, leading to their destruction. It's also used to boost the efficiency of immune cells. Immune cells have higher activity levels at higher temperatures. Fever is stimulated by chemicals released into the bloodstream by white blood cells like phagocytes. These chemicals travel to the brain, signaling it to enact the effects that will increase the body temperature.